right, you just saw the film 1195, and here's the filmmaker Paul Lindsay. Uh, Great to meet you.
Yeah.
Amazing film, and I
Thank you.
know definitely if we were, we both almost live walking distance from the theater that the Sherman Oaks Film Festival normally uses. So it would have been wonderful to be in the theater and have an audience see this film. And now I know they would start discussing the topic and the message, which is, of course, as relevant, as important as ever. But I wanted to start off really praising the filmmaking,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
because lots of, if you see hundreds of films, actually over 1,000 a year running 2 film festivals, you start to realize that there's a lot of message films that are just badly made. Whereas your film, the filmmaking skills you show, I think especially as a writer and even more so as a director, just make the story so immediate. I think the economy of your storytelling here, the way you introduce the cop and we hear some casual racism out of his mouth about college football players, and the way you introduce your lead, it's just really smart filmmaking. It's really great filmmaking, and as a director, besides the aesthetic of the shoulder cam and the camera, the man who got pulled over, but then you choose wides at all the right times, and so really, it was great to watch you flex those filmmaker skills
Thank you. Well,
while telling an incredibly important story.
thank you. I mean, I really appreciate it. It was um, when I first concepted the story, it was based off of a story that happened to me. So I took some liberties from it, but wanted to really showcase the moment as you're one-on-one with someone else. I chose, and I've been talking with a lot of different people about the style that I chose with it, and I didn't want the audience to really identify with the characters as much. Hence, you never see the characters full frontal, or you never see the characters like this until they're actually meeting each other. I never wanted to show the character's face so someone could say that's so and so, or identify with and have a preconceived notion of who that person is. So hence why I shot a lot of French reverses. I used the sun to obscure a lot of the photos, shot a lot of profiles. So you have an idea of who the person is. Same way in society, that when we see people, we have an idea of who they are, but we really don't know who they are. So further going, we're in the car and we're in a very confined space that we're both are traveling in and showing like the parallels of their lives. One on a higher trajectory, one on a lower trajectory, but you don't know what the person is that you're about to meet or encounter. You don't know what may have just tripped them off that moment, that morning, that night before, and what they're carrying into that encounter with you. And then subsequently, for any of us that have gotten pulled over, you don't know what the police officer looks like in that vehicle until he steps out of the vehicle. He or she doesn't know what you look like until they actually come up to your screen. So all those were conscious choices that I wanted to take to illustrate how, and put the audience in that position. So when they meet for the first time, and they're seeing each other, they're sizing each other up for the first time as we do, face to face. We're seeing all the nuances. Oh, they have, they're 6 feet tall, they're 5'11". I could take them. I maybe couldn't take them. They're muscular. All the things that happen in a regular police stop, I wanted that to be the first time the audience sees them, the same time that the characters see each other. So I used the cameramen. I used the actors as my cameramen. Strapped the GoPro and the iPhone and used the actual footage. Big shout out to Filmic, when I was able to manipulate the lens and really get the best to get the best image from that. And it was great because I could have shot it regular and shot it POV, but to get them acting against each other in that moment really built tension that was there. And then subsequently at the end of it, after everything is over, then I wanted to retreat and have the audience view, quote unquote, the aftermath of what it could be, not what happens, as we've seen tragically with, with a lot of the George Floyds and the Breonna Taylors and the Ahmaud Arbery's, but really, what could it be? Just two people speaking to each other, realizing at the end that they are more alike and similar than they are different, and to just really, have this moment, but then go about your way without there being an incident. So all those were conscious choices in how I wanted to convey this message. Even that last message when after our character Marvin drives away and the policeman is left in this big, vast expanse, I wanted the audience to feel like he is this man apart right now. He is this man alone with his thoughts and thinking about what just happened with just himself and his environment, to really let everything sink in and take in with him being there in the aloneness of it. Is he the last? Is he going to be on the wrong side of history with this, or by himself, or is he going to be really think about it and go back to his life and say, you know what, I can be better?
For sure. And it's so effective. Everything you said is what makes it so effective. And then the shot where you showed all the different sides of the driver, a veteran, football player, father, this, that. I almost
Exactly.
got the feeling that the policeman also saw that in his own head. And so yeah, you isolate him and he's thinking about the fact that, I was treating this person, I was executing a DWB or whatever, and
Correct.
I wasn't taking the whole person into account.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, we could get pulled over, and you never know. Is a person a mother, a brother, a son, a father, a nephew, an executive, of a former football player, a current. You never know. There's so many facets to us as human beings, but when we're pulled over, and when I say we, specifically African Americans, when we're pulled over, we are not given the same luxury or the same, we're not viewed in the same lens as others. We're automatically viewed as hostile and a problem. And I'm like, that's not what it is. There's so many more facets to us and us as people that that I really wanted to punch that home.
You did, and it's so effective.
Thank you.
It's almost a tearjerker moment for me when you see all that, and also great use of sound in I know making an independent film, and you're shooting up there on Mulholland, so probably sound was challenging at times, but the sound effect you used as those parts of him moved back into the body, I think was, I don't know, it's a great choice.
Thank you. That was an homage to. I was a huge fan of sci-fi, and even though I wasn't a fan of this particular movie, it was X-Men: Last Stand, where they underutilized Multiple Man when they went to go raid the camp, and on the screen on the surveillance screen they had all these bodies, but then it turned out to be just one body, and Multiple Man just replicating himself. And so as he came back into himself, he was making the sound effect. And I told my sound designer, I'm like, that's the effect I want. There's that whooshing sound as he's basically reforming a full body. And it was, we just, as filmmakers, you get inspired, art inspires art. So I took a lot of, I took, homages from Training Day. I took homages to Bad Lieutenant. Just really just different shots that I saw that I'm like, you know what, it's going to tell that story. In the shot of him, I wasn't really interested in, like at the beginning with the officer when he's speaking on the phone. I wanted to set the tone that he was having, as you said, these like little microaggressions of racism that he didn't feel that were, but it was more important, not so much what he was saying, but he's sitting in his car, cockily back, talking about like how much money he made and the oppression that he feels, and while wearing the badge. And I wanted to, that in itself is like, just kind of there's a line that straddles to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely, and very, very revealing, and I have personal experience with that this Q&A is not about. So, uh, and I guess I also should bring up your really superb use of it looks like you pulled some YouTube footage and this and that. You
Yes.
obviously chose to adapt it to the times and mention that this film was made before George Floyd, but and I really love the choice of the young woman who's arguing with an invisible maternal voice who's trying to make a point that doesn't make sense, and she just absolutely turns it around and says, this is what the numbers should be. So
Correct.
it's proof that there's bias.
It really wasn't, just in the time when everything started happening and the internet was started getting slammed with all these memes and videos, and I wanted something to really drive it home. And yeah, we shot this a full year before, and just editing problems or just something that just wasn't. Then when we finally got into the room or into the bay to start editing, this was coming about. I'm like, we have to finish it now. Now is the time. And the videos only helped to sell it because it wasn't, we weren't taking a snapshot in time. We wanted to show like this is a timeline of this is going on, has been going on, and is still going on. Even after Floyd, it still continued. It still happens. I mean, there's no reason why Jacob Blake got shot in the back 7 times, in the back 7 times, unarmed. There's no reason for it. But we're just showing that this is a pervasive element, and those videos were just taken from different perspectives. We see, of course, George Floyd. Then we see the man in the airport, how he's talking to the officers, and he's not getting shot. And he says, "You're treating me like a black person," which means you see that black people are getting treated this way, and you're still okay with it. Don't treat me like that. Treat me like anything else, but don't treat me like a black person. There was one that we didn't use that was so pervasive, and it was almost hard to watch. And it was a woman having a conversation with a guy and said, "What would you do if you saw a guy beating up a dog?" It was like, "I would go crazy." And she said, "What would you do if you saw a guy beating up a black person?" She said, "I don't know." And the guy said, "So in your eyes, a dog is worth more than the life of a black person in the United States?" And she said, "I don't know what a dog did before." And I was like, wow. It was, and I love
Yeah.
dogs. I have to, but it's just the caste system in
and
America
and it's
is
pervasive, and I found so I googled 1195 because I assumed, okay, it's got to be a code for police code, and it means routine traffic stop. And the
right.
fact that just hit, I actually, that hit me really hard when I googled it, because I was like, just because it's just so routine.
Right.
A dear friend of mine lived in Valencia, and he and his wife just worked up a code. Every time he got pulled over on his way home, he just texted DWB to her so that
Yeah.
she'd know he'd be about 45 minutes late.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And when I first thought of this, when it happened to me, I was like, what? How would I even? What did he call in? What did he call into the station? What was the reason why he pulled me over? And I started doing more research, and then there was 1196. It's a suspicious traffic stop, but our character wasn't doing anything suspicious. He was driving, and when I asked other officers, I'm like, I said, "What is an 1195?" And they told me. They said, "But that really doesn't exist because we don't pull people over for any reason unless there is a probable cause or there's suspicious activity." So I'm like, "Why is it then on the books?" And they couldn't answer. And I was like, "Okay, so there's my title." Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Um, so you of course this was all done before COVID,
Yes. Absolutely.
and did you manage to get the experience of showing this to an audience before COVID hit, or?
No, we literally, like I said, we literally finished it in July. We finished posting it in July of this year. We had some editing issues beforehand and had to re we didn't shoot anything extra. I mean, we, you know, ADR and stuff like that, but we had to, it was a challenge for us to get it. And when we finally locked it up, we finished it in July of this year.
Yeah, actually, that's how confusing the year of COVID has been for me. Is I was forgetting that George Floyd was after the pandemic hit.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So obviously, with that introduction, uh, well, it's a wonderful film.
Thank you.
It's
I
really
really,
well, and it, like I stressed in the beginning, besides it giving a really valuable perspective, it's really great filmmaking, and all your choices, all your deliberate choices, just make it that much better for the audience.
thank you very
So,
much. It's,
so big round of applause if we were in the White Fire.
you know, I wanted to make this film not so much to say, you know, here's the message, but it's like, let's just be better to each other. Let's
For
let's just
sure. And I think your ending really is a comfort of sorts when the police officer finally says, "My name's Dan," and you know, because he had been asking for his name from the beginning and he was
yeah,
refusing to give it. So that you added that moment of humanity between these two men at the end.
right. And even when he says that my mother's real name is Joyce, and so I kind of use that. And he says, you know, my mom didn't get that lucky; she died of cancer. And the officer says, my mom's name is Joyce too. Like that moment of like simpatico, that's that's what we all just want.
For sure. And you could get the sense that those two men could have met and been friends and talked
Right.
about, you know, they both played sports when they were younger and this and
Exactly.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It's all
It could
there.
have it could have been there, but in that moment, the humanity was not seen. It was just not
No,
there.
the gun was drawn almost instantly. It's
Right.
really tense,
Yeah. So good.
rightfully so.
I'm glad. Sorry about the anxiety, people.
No, no. All right. Well, before we
So,
run, were there any collaborators or anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
well, yes, absolutely. The entire, you know, cast and crew, Alan Maldonado and Joel Rush. I mean, those guys, they brought it. They brought the fire to their roles, man. I mean, they met that morning, Oscar. I'm not, excuse me, Emmy night of 2019, and I had them for 8 hours. They said we have to get to the awards, and they banged it out. So really, a big kudos to those guys, Alan and Joel. My DP, Robert Arnold, was phenomenal. My editor, Nicole Artzer, just was a beast in the edit. Was like that's the type of editor to have, who was proactive and really helping making the decisions. My sound editor, Jared Jones. I mean, it was a collaborative effort, and my producers, you know, Joe Lazaroff, Angela Northington, all came through. It became a passion project for all of us.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I'm sure anyone you shared the script with was, shame on them if someone read the script and didn't say, "Yeah, I want to be involved." This
So, but yeah, it was good, and just looking to, I'm glad, so glad, and thank you to you guys, for selecting it, and honored to be in your festival, and was happy that we did it in Sherman Oaks to really showcase, it's there. Sherman Oaks is on the map.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing like having locals involved in the festival. It's we only accept films based upon quality and official. You're not an official selection because you're local. You're an official selection because the film is great.
Right, great, thank you.
But yeah, it is obviously a subtle. In the back of my head, I can't help but hope that as soon as COVID dies down a bit, even more filmmakers in the area
Oh, yeah.
will will network and get to know each other. And so many talented people in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, honestly, when I think back now, my last three films, have all been based in Sherman Oaks. So it's just, and I mean, living there is great, but it just, there's so many different looks in Sherman Oaks itself. From Ventura to Chandler, you could be in two totally different areas, and
Absolutely.
it's great. Yeah. So
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you,
thank you,
and
Jeff. It was too.
bravo again on the film.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So looking
And
forward to the, the event, and we'll be there.
excellent. All right.
Great.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.